NYU. I actually don't technically have the PhD yet, so don't tell anyone that I do or I'll get in trouble. But at NYU in media, culture, and communication, pretty much so that I could just study memes, which is crazy. All this is to say that this is how I justify being up in front of you guys to talk. So from my childhood modem use to my college education to the performances and videos, I've begun to feel like I know a lot about internet memes, a lot about what goes on online. Except that, this is how we started, I still feel like kind of an imposter. I feel like maybe I'm faking it. And I'm going to tell you why. But before that, I want to talk to you about cute cats. So, my two friends and I, after we had done enough shows, we got to the point where we were tired of doing them, and we wanted to try something different. We wanted to try and write a book. And so that's actually what we're doing right now. And originally we were like, oh, it's going to take 3 months, we'll just write this book. But it's taken over a year at this point. Let me just tell you, writing a book is apparently a lot harder than we'd ever guessed. So when we're making shows, we can basically say whatever we want because people are going to see that show like a month later, they're going to forget it, it's no big deal, we'll just do another show no one will remember. But when we're writing books, people could read that like a year from now or like 5 years from now. So if we write something that's like terribly wrong, people are going to remember. And so we've been trying to deal with bigger and like more evergreen ideas in our book. And so this is how I came to work on the idea of the online animal economy. So what do I mean by the online animal economy? So as long as people have been around, they have been using animals to survive. So whether that was hunting animals, or harnessing animals, or domesticating animals, basically the pattern is that animals have always been valuable to people. And sometimes that valuable is like money valuable, but sometimes the valuable in like a harder to express way, like maybe more emotional or something, But what I was trying to figure out with the animal economy, the online animal economy, is this. So human-animal interaction has always been valuable, but are there new types of value that the internet has created for those human-animal interactions? And if so, what are those new types of value? Like, what can we really do with animals online? So to investigate, I started with a question. What kind of animals are internet animals? And then I ended up actually getting to a second question, which is what kind of people are internet people? So let's take the first one. There's a part of the musical Avenue Q where the puppets do a song about how the internet is for porn. So I don't think anyone here would be surprised to find out that there are a lot of naughty photos on the internet, you guys. I mean, it's really bad. But still, these days, porn is still not like socially acceptable to a lot of people. Actually think about it. So like the last time you were at work and you got an email forward from your coworker who, because like they were bored and they were like, I've got nothing to do, I'm going to send you this funny thing. How often do those emails, or how often does your friend send you a porn site? I'm gonna guess like not a lot. Like you don't get the secretary sending you like, hey, check out these hot young teens. Like that's not a thing that people do. But how often do you get sent a cute animal video? Probably pretty often, right? So this adds the question, like, so what is the primary object of the internet? Is it cute animals or is it dogs? Right? So let's compromise, and I think what we can say is that maybe if the private internet is for porn, you keep that to yourself, that at least the public internet is for cute kitty videos, right? So I got curious about really how many cute animals actually out there, like how prevalent was cute animal videos. So one day I performed a very simple investigation, which is very flawed and not rigorous and not scientifically accurate at all. But I went to YouTube's most viewed video pages and I sorted by pet and animals. And I counted and categorized the top 96 videos. So of the top 96, the categories broke down like this. There were 4 non-pet videos that had been tagged pet, like one of them was Vanilla's Ice Ice Baby. I don't know why you would ever that. There were 5 like uncategorizable, like they weren't, like there was one about a lion who like loved people, and there was another one that was just like this montage of photos that were like, okay. There were 15 like weird or exotic videos that were like, look at this giant whale, or look at this crazy animal that's got a person's face, like weird stuff. There were 15 violent videos, so like lions eating zebras, or zebras eating, I guess, other zebras, or tigers just hanging out, maybe not hanging out, fighting. There were 19 sexual videos of primarily horses having sex, or being aided by people to have sex. There were 20 funny videos. A lot of these were cartoons, or people like taking videos of cats and then adding voices in to be like, I'm a cat, or I don't know, whatever jokes cats make. And then finally, confirming my suspicion, the top category was cute. 24 out of the top 96 were cute videos. And these were all videos of animals just being cute. And some of them were also funny, but the big thing was that there were no people in these videos. It was just animals just killing it. So one thing I was surprised about in these findings, and you might be able to see where I'm going with this, is that there were 19 sexual animal videos. I mean, there were like sexual animal videos. What is going on? That wasn't part of my theory. And if you go back, you can see it. It's right there. Can you guys see what I'm talking about? I mean, it's right there. It's right there in the middle. Here, there you go. It's right there. But it turns out the question that what kind of animals are on the internet, like what are internet animals, has a really complicated answer. Because it's not just cute animals. So remember what I said, porn videos were for private and cute videos were for public? Well, it turns out that maybe I have to change that a little bit. It seems like it's not cuteness that makes animal videos acceptable for publicness. I mean, there is nothing cute about this rhino situation. Nothing cute. But it seems like the animalness of these videos is what makes it okay for public consumption. The animals can be doing whatever you want. They can be screwing. It's fine. They're animals. So I started thinking about this. Why would there be so many videos of animals having sex? So my theory is this, and I don't know how to test this, that a lot of people talk about how great the internet is for sharing your life with other people. But sharing can be really hard for some people. I mean, bearing your feelings and your failures and your emotions to the world can be really scary. So maybe what animals do online, maybe the value that they add now, is that they give certain people a way to represent the emotions that they would be uncomfortable showing on their own. So animals can help us understand our embarrassment. They might also be able to help us understand our love for those close around us. Wait for it. But apparently, these videos can also help us express horniness, I guess? Now, to be fair, I realize that a lot of the people who are watching these videos, the 3 million people who are watching these videos, are probably watching it out of humor rather than watching it out of, lust. But I mean, who knows? I will be the last person to claim that I understand everything about what gets people hot. But what I am trying to say is that in looking at the animals that show up online, I realize that maybe what I should be paying attention to is the people instead. So instead of asking who these internet animals were, I changed my question and I wanted to figure out who the internet people were. So let's try and talk about it this way. Who do you know that is from the internet? Now, there's already a from the internet meme out there. And it looks like this. And a lot of the iterations have these heavily armored commando guys that are kind of heavy set with glasses and things. But a lot of them are about nerdy cosplayers. And there's Spectatron guy here. I watched this guy eat a cheeseburger one time, and he was very nice. But I mean, can this really be what being from the internet is? It's just like you put on a silly dorky costume and that's the essence of the internet? I mean, that seems to be a little shallow. I think there must be a more genuine, I'm sorry about this, photo. I feel like there must be a more genuine answer as to who is from the internet. So what if we come at it from the other way? Who isn't from the internet? Well, the first answer is people who do not have the internet. Let's not forget, if we look at this very official graph that I found when I Googled internet statistics, that there are close to 4 billion people on the world who do not have internet access, right? So to those 4 billion people, I kind of owe you an apology if you're out there, because nothing I say is going to have anything to do with you. So to those 4 billion, I apologize. The number 2 category of people who are definitely not from the internet is your grandparents. I mean, let's face it, old people are great. We love old people. But old people aren't always the best at the internet.
What the hell? Get out of here, jockey! Ah!
Though to be fair, this might be changing. I think old people are catching up. There are some grandmothers who might understand the internet better than I do.
It's not on TV, it's on the internet.
On the computer? We could see it on the computer?
Yeah.
I want to see this I gotta see. Kim Kardashian sex tape with Ray J. Ray J who?
This is real pornography.
She's in the
Here they go. He's holding it or she's holding it.
Oh my God! Look at it!
The video also really gets me every time. Okay, so people who don't have the internet, and grandmothers and grandfathers, theoretically, but the last group of people who are definitely not from the internet, for lack of a better term, I'm going to call them the Facebook people. So these are the people who use the internet. Sure, they might use the internet every day, several times a day, but they still aren't really internet people. I'm sure we all know the type, right? Like, these are the type of people who are subject to the scorn of this advice animal, annoying Facebook girl. Very familiar, I'm sure. So these are the people that we would say don't really get it, right? There's another iteration in technologically impaired duck. A little bit more technical. This is funny because I'm getting a PhD. This is my favorite. But this idea that some people don't really belong is not a new phenomenon. So back in the Usenet days, the real computer people were computer scientists at colleges. And they would talk about how every September, when new freshmen would come to these colleges to study computer science, the internet would get really shitty for a month because these new people wouldn't know how to use it. And so September became a slang term for when the internet sucks because of news, right? And so they summarily, when the internet got open to the whole public, they changed their tune and started calling it Eternal September, because the idea was that from now on, for the rest of history, whenever you look online, there's going to be someone who has no idea what they're doing, making the world a shittier place. And I've argued once before in a presentation that I think Eternal September might be giving away to Eternal October, but we're getting off topic. I just wanted to show you guys sword lean. So we've talked about who isn't from the internet, right? We've got people who don't have it, older people and Facebook people, but then who is from the internet? Who are internet people, if that's true? Who calls the web home? So the aforementioned old school computer science Usenet guys, that might be one answer. So many of the people who made the internet are still alive and using it. So I guess we could say that maybe they belong there more than anyone else. But maybe the other answer is right. So like maybe instead of looking at the oldest internet users, we should look at the youngest. I mean, these digital natives, the people who were born with Twitter accounts and have their first birthdays posted on their Facebook page, like, aren't they kind of at home on the internet more than we will ever be or could be? Well, if you think about it this way, if we look at what I consider to be the high renaissance of web culture, As noted by my completely made up graph, which is not scientific, I just drew this because I think it looks pretty, I guess it's colors. But I would consider this period between 2004 and 2008 to be sort of the golden meme period. Internet communities were still popular enough to really churn out a ton of great stuff, but they were still underground enough to keep that stuff from being watered down by the mainstream. And when I think about the most awesome animal videos and the most awesome animal images, like this is where it got its start, between 2004 and 2008. So the people who were cranking away in these nascent web communities during these 4 years, they probably weren't computer scientists, and they probably weren't iPad babies, right? So who were they? Who are these people in the middle? Who is really from the internet? 4 years ago, the answer would have been anonymous. Now, by 2008, what we would consider the freshman class of 4chan, the users who frequented B would have just graduated, so to speak. And so for those 4 years between 2003 and 2007, anonymous didn't mean what it means now, right? So this was before Project Chinology put Guy Fawkes masks on the streets in protest of Scientology. This was before anonymous users would act out against MasterCard in solidarity with WikiLeaks. This was before the web security firm HB Gary would get relentlessly hacked. This was before their involvement in Tunisia. This was before Lulzsec. This was before becoming the subject of news broadcasts. Right, in a sense, before becoming a political entity or a concept or a buzzword, anonymous was just a community of people. Which is okay, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Anonymous has been talked about and fetishized by a ton of people, and honestly, I guess by talking about them this way, I'm kind of just adding fuel to that fire. And the thing is that 4chan and Anonymous and BTards, they're not alone, right? There were older and other online communities that were doing the same kind of thing at the same time. And there are other groups nowadays interested in different types of media, but which have bred communities which are just as strong as Anonymous was between 2004 and 2008. I've even heard that Wikipedia has a pretty strong and awesome community. I don't know if you guys have heard. So these communities of people, some of them are anonymous, some of them are pseudonymous, and some of them are completely identifiable as like real world people. And they've been gathering together and communicating online. And so I think these are the people that are from the internet. And this is what makes the difference. And this is why I think I call myself an imposter. Because the more and more I think about the difference between those who use the internet and those who live on the internet, I think the difference is actually really simple. And I think it's this. So I think that the people who make the web what it is are the people who have friends they've never met face to face. Which is a little weird, I know, or at least I think. But I think it's the people who have friends they've never met face to face. So this might sound silly or trite, but think about it. So actually stop and think for a moment. You can play along at home, so to speak. When you go online, you in your personal life, what do? Do you check your email? I'd be willing to guess that the vast majority of the emails that you send and the emails that you receive are probably to people that you already know. Friends, family, coworkers. Also, please don't read my email. How often do you send an email to someone that you'll never meet in person? Or maybe you have a Facebook or a LinkedIn account or a Twitter account. Sure, okay. Who do you @reply more? The people that you've never been in a room with, or the people that you have met face to face? Maybe you read some blogs, or maybe you read some news sites, but maybe you watch some videos, cute animals. How often when you watch a video or you read a blog post do you interact with the person who made it that you've never met? And how often do you just send that along to someone you already know? Like, how often does finding a bit of content online make you want to interact with the person behind it? So if you think about the answer to these questions, you might start to get a sense of whether or not you yourself are from the internet. And so that's my problem. When I answer these questions, I realize, sure, like I've been using computers since I was a kid, great. and like I go to college to study internet memes, whatever. But how often do I personally actually go online and have a friendly interaction with someone I've interacted with before online but never met in meet space? And like my answer for me is like maybe a couple of times a month. But there are some people out there whose answer to that question is for several hours every day. Whether it's in World of Warcraft, whether it's on a message board, whether it's in IRC, they are interacting with people that they're never going to be in a room with, and that's how they live their life. So this is my new theory, I think. I don't know, I'm still working it out. But if we ask the question, where does internet culture come from? Where does these web culture things, these memes, these videos, where does it come from? The internet memes, the web communities, the cute and or funny and or sexy animal videos, it comes from these people. And so maybe this is obvious for some people, but I feel like I've been too distracted by all of the awesome media online to really notice. So the web doesn't really belong to the people who use online platforms to maintain and extend their offline communities. The web really belongs, in a sense, to the people who use online platforms to make online communities. Okay, so I'll admit it. Talking about online communities and these people has gotten pretty far away from animal videos at this point. But part of me thinks that this other point, right, about who belongs on the internet might be more important. That the people are more important than the animals in some way. So like I said, I'm an imposter. I'm not really an expert on internet memes or what goes on online or anything like that. If I'm being completely honest, almost everything I know, all the videos that I've shown you guys, all the pictures, has trickled down to me secondhand from all of the people who are actually out there living their lives, or at least a big part of their lives, on the internet. And I hope that those people don't get tired of me hanging around and like writing papers and getting to talk about their stuff, because they make some of my favorite stuff in the world ever. And I would be very sad if I couldn't look at it anymore. So if you are out there in the audience and you have realized, or if you already knew that you yourself are from the internet, I would love to say hi. You should come find me afterwards and say hello. And if you're out there and you realize that maybe you're not from the internet, but you just use it, and you think that you might like to be from the internet, you should just know that being from the internet is just as easy as making friends and staying friends with someone that you'll never be in a room with. That's it. That's all you gotta do. And if you're out there and you're someone who doesn't live on the web, but you're someone who works there, and you're wondering about like what to do next with it, I would say that letting people strengthen their already existing communities is one thing. But that making the tools and platforms that allow for new communities online is really what the web is about. So thanks.